Hello guys, and welcome back to another video, the second episode of The Last of Us. My thoughts on this episode is it surpassed the first episode. First episode was great, but the action is very fast paced. The story is moving along really quickly. So I'm going to go over the episode quickly. There is spoilers, so if you've not watched it, watch the episode and then come back and please watch this episode of what I thought and overall. I'm going to be breaking down certain parts. Okay, so it's revealed kind of in this that the cordyceps virus actually started, I believe, in Malaysia in a flower factory, and this would explain why the woman in the first episode sitting on the porch, the old lady munching on her cookies, turned later obviously into infected with the cordyceps. They're not zombies in this because they're still alive. So if you imagine the pain that they're going through, the fungi actually keeps them alive. They're conscious, but they have no control over what they're doing. So this episode starts where the last episode left off with Joel, Ellie and Tess escaping Boston's base with Fedra, and they're now on into the actual city of Boston, making their way to the Capitol building. Now, some of the discussions that go on this way, like where Ellie was bit, she was bit in basically a big mole. She said she was alone, but we know that if you play the game Left Behind, the DLC, she was actually with Riley, and this will be explained. It's getting a whole episode, I think, around episode 7 or 8. So we were going more into that when it happened. She didn't reveal much. She said she was alone, and then she asked about Joel and Tess. Now, I honestly believe that Joel and Tess have never been in a full relationship. I think that sometimes they are more or less with friends with benefits. Yeah. So they travel along. They reveal some new things in this. Like in the game, it doesn't matter if you touch the fungi on the wall. It doesn't alert them to your location. In the show, they've changed this, and I actually 100% agree that this is a great change to the show. It makes it more, it just makes it more interesting that they've got to avoid the fungi that is on the wall, because the fungi learns. I'm going to talk about in a minute one of the new fungi that were introduced, but we're going to get along to that. Okay, so it's about them traveling to the Capitol building to meet the Fireflies, and we will explain that journey. So the first part of the game in that Boston City, there's stuff that references the game, but it's different timing. Like in the game, there's a thunderstorm, it's night time. In the show, it's during broad daylight. The actual buildings leaning together is a very well-known clip in the game, and you actually go into the buildings in the game, where this one, they avoid them, and they go into them a little bit, but not that much. They decide to take the long route instead of the short, deadly route. Okay, so that's the first part of the story and where we start off. And to jump along, they end up going into the museum. Now, the museum, you can see the fungi outside is dead. Yeah, this is why Joel is happy to touch it. He tells you that it's dried. So this tells you that the fungi doesn't always exist for that long, doesn't live for that long before it dies out. I'm guessing it has to be humid, it has to be wet for the fungi to flourish. And obviously, I don't know what Boston's like, but in some parts of Boston, I'm guessing it's America, it's North America, so I'm guessing sometimes it's probably quite dry there. But anyway, they go the long route, and basically they come to a part where the building collapses, and Tess can get through, but Ellie and Joel stay together. They have a little bit of discussion. There's a little bit of bonding going on between them, but Joel is still not confident that Ellie will not turn. Yeah, he still believes that she does. I'm not going into spoilers, that's in the second game. But anyway, Tess gets separated. She goes around a long, up into the building, and she manages to open a door, and they go through the door. But then it shows you that the route is actually blocked by infected down in the streets, and this is where you learn about touching the fungi. And Ellie is also told by Tess she may be immune, but she's not immune to being ripped apart, so they still have to protect her. And this basically cuts it short, so they have to take the short route through the museum, which is a great part in the game because it introduces clickers. Now the clickers are evolved over around 20 years. So the fungi I believe is intelligent. So it realizes that shots to the head, hits to the head will actually kill the host. They don't want that. So the fungi actually grows a protection, like an armor, over the head, and then it covers the eyes so it couldn't see. So then it learned echolocation with that noises. So it's bouncing around and it's trying to pick up like bats where people are or where animals are that it can infect. But clickers are still fast. They're harder to kill. You have to shoot them multiple times in the head to get through the fungi. And also they are much more aggressive than the others. And it leads to a very interesting scene with Joel telling Ellie, shh, no more speaking. You have to be quiet. And it leads with an encounter with the clickers. Obviously, it goes to shit. Yeah, Ellie gets bit again. But this is when Joel starts when it's revealed, Ellie says, who else better to get bit than me? Because she's not infected. And basically, this leads to Joel kind of start believing that she's immune. But then we come to the part when they come to meet the Fireflies at the Capitol building. Now this part is different to the game. I will go through it in the game first. In the game they arrive at Capitol building, they go inside and they are actually ambushed by a Fedra. The Fedra have killed the Fireflies, and this is where Tess reveals that she actually got bit when she was separated from them or when they encountered the clickers. And we know a bite on the neck, it showed it in the first episode, takes about 5 to 10 minutes for them to turn. So Tess decides to sacrifice herself with Fedra. Okay, so in the show, it's not actually Fedra that ambushed them. Actually, one of the infected comes in contact with the fungi, and the fungi learns the location of them. And it's actually a horde of infected that actually attack the Capitol building. Now, it has a great scene in this when Tess is trying to light the lighter, where she's put oil across the floor to blow up obviously as much infected as possible. And you have that scene because the fungi knows the most direct route to infect people is through the mouth. And this leads to that scene with like spaghetti coming out of the person's mouth. Strangely, we were eating spaghetti bolognese at the time, and my wife was like, I'm not watching this. And obviously Tess can't react, because if she stops it, then all the infected will attack her, and then she wouldn't be able to light the lighter that she was having problems with. Guys, an outbreak, always make sure your lighter works. Yeah, and she's trying to light it, so she has to technically let the infected kiss her, and obviously the pores go down into her throat, but she manages to actually light the lighter. She drops it on the floor, and then you see Joel and Ellie leaving the building with the explosion happening. Now, this, obviously Joel was probably aware, but this probably makes us aware clickers do not like fire. They have a weakness to it. So now, the next episode, because obviously Joel and Ellie walked off, the next episode, I'm going to go into spoilers in another episode, and I'm going to do how I think the whole season's going to play out. Now, Neil Druckmann, who directed this episode, directed the games, and you can see the love that he put into this episode. It's also the same art designers and makeup specialist that made Rechner from Stranger Things. You can see the clickers are amazing. They're kind of terrifying, but like just really well done, and it's beautiful the way that they've brought this world to life. And I am looking forward to the next episode. Guys, I'm going to give this episode a little bit more. I think I gave the last episode 9.5. I'm going to give this, I'm going to give this a 9.6. I still don't know how the rest of the seasons, but if it improves, which I'm sure it's going to, this show is going to be absolutely amazing. Neil Druckmann, who made the show, said season 2 is pretty much certain. It's not confirmed, but it's going to follow the 2 games. So I'm guessing we're going to get season 2, probably in about 2 years. And then after that, hopefully the 3rd game will be out, or they will coming out, announced, and hopefully the showrunners will know the story of the 3rd game. And I think hopefully they'll release them together so we can watch and play at the same time. Guys, again, thank you for joining me. Please like and sub to my videos. It's gonna help me. It's gonna make it, but for me, give me a boost to add and put more material up. I'm gonna be getting not a newer laptop, but a better laptop than what I got, so I can edit better and I can do more advanced videos like what I was doing before, but it won't take me like 6 hours, 7 hours to make one video because my laptop is lagging. Okay guys, again, thank you for joining me. Have a great week. Enjoy your time, and I see you next Wednesday with The Last of Us I almost said The Last of Us Part 3. The Last of Us Episode 3 review. Guys, thank you and goodbye.